everybody, welcome back. Today's video we're going to be forecasting paycheck number 2 for the month of October, and I'm just going to go ahead and hop right to it. I'll get you guys switched over to more of this close-up of the calendar view, and we'll start highlighting and plugging in some numbers. Okay, here we are at this October calendar. My husband and I get paid every other week, and we are paycheck by paycheck zero-based budgeters. The paychecks, the way they fall, it's not like it's covering from the 1st until the 31st for each month, but I'm just tracking the paycheck. And the expenses, it'll usually cover the fixed expenses is what I have listed here on my calendar, and I check them off as each bill clears, but each paycheck covers the fixed expenses from the Friday that the last paycheck is deposited until the Thursday prior to the next paycheck starting. And you can see this is paycheck number 1. We just did our week 1 check-in yesterday for this paycheck, but I do like to forecast a week in advance just so I know where that money's all going before it starts flowing in and out of my account. So I just choose a color, a highlighter color. I coordinate it with my pen, and I put clouds around income and then highlight the fixed expenses that each paycheck is covering. I did add in this new one, this giving. I had just felt that missing. I took it out back in February when we first started this debt-free journey. Just because I was watching Dave Ramsey, and he said, you know, like, be laser focused. Your giving can kind of come later once you get through, like, I think it's baby step 2, somewhere around those lines. But I just, in my heart, felt like that's something I needed to work back into our budget. All right, so that was a new one you guys will see, but just how the paychecks fell, I wasn't able to squeeze in the second week. The paycheck number 2 is going to start covering fixed expenses moving into the first week of November. So it's kind of split up between these 2 calendars, but I know what color paycheck number 2 is, and so that'll be just fine for me to follow along. But all of our fixed expenses are highlighted. We can see they're highlighted up until paycheck number 1 for November, the Friday the 6th. And now what we'll do is pull this information into our paycheck budget sheet. Here we are at the paycheck budget sheet. These are sheets that I've put together myself. This one got a little funky. It was a copy on my printer from when I'd already printed, and I'd obviously pushed the copy up too far where the scanner light comes through or whatever happens in that situation. And then it did also like something, I think my printer had decided to do like the draft print or something on copies, you know, to save on ink. But anyways, this paycheck budget sheet is not as fancy or beautiful to look at as some of my other ones, but you know what? It's functional. I can live with this logo being cut off and the color on my tables being a little off. That's totally fine. What I'm mainly worried about is my numbers being tracked. But I just wanted to let you guys know, yes, I do realize it's a little funky dunky, but we're working with it. You'll see that a lot on my channel. I kind of just take what I have and work with it, and as a lot of the things are repurposed in my house, I don't have really a beautiful planner. I am working on putting my own planner together, which it's still, you know, not as fancy as some of the ones that you can purchase from distributors, but I seem to appreciate it more when I can tell that I've put my own love and labor into it. But anyways, okay, so paycheck number 2, it's going to cover 2 weeks worth of expenses from October 23rd until November 5th. Next is income. We have 3 different incomes that we are expecting. The first one is income number 1 gets deposited Both of our paychecks get deposited within the same week. Income 1 gets direct deposited every other Thursday. So that will be October 22nd is when we're expecting it. And I expect it to be $2,870. Income number 2 gets deposited that next day on a Friday. And I expect it to be $1,000. I underestimate our income, which you'll see in my weekly check-ins. It ends up being more than what we'd expect it to be. Income number 3, that had already been or will be deposited during paycheck 1. So I'm not expecting it for paycheck number 2. So I'll just draw a line through there. But we do have our rollover. Now we are zero-based budgeters, and how I do that is I roll everything that's left over from paycheck 1 into paycheck number 2. And then paycheck number 2 is what gets zeroed out, and that's considered our cash flow, and that's what gets applied towards our current debt focus. But this is paycheck number 1, its sheet, and then right here is this cash flow equation, or what tells me what I have left over based on what my expected income and expenses are. I expect to have $2,726.13 left over from paycheck 1 to roll over into paycheck number 2. So that's what I'm going to plug in here. And I'll just say I expect it to come over on the 22nd, which is when paycheck number 1 will be closed out. And then once we close out paycheck 1, we can come and plug in this actual number once we figure out what that is. Okay, now what we'll do is add all of our income together, see what we're expecting. Okay, make sure I put everything in correctly. All right, so we are expecting paycheck number 2 to have $6,596.13 of income to work with. Now, over here are all of my fixed expenses, and all of this information has been plugged in from using the blue expenses that I highlighted here. Okay. And these total out to $4,219.82. Next, we'll come over here to our variable expenses. I'm married, we have 3 kids, we have pets, we own a home, and 2 vehicles that we drive regularly. So that is all of what makes up our variable expenses. Each person within the household has a designated spending allowance, including my husband and I. So for groceries, I budget $400 to last us 2 weeks. We do like to eat out and go and do things as a family or date nights, and so that's where this eating out entertainment, what it covers, and that's $100 for 2 weeks. Household and pets gets $125. Gas, we do have quite a commute, and that's $150. My husband and I each get $40. And then each of our kids, we allot $20. And then unbudgeted, of course, gets 0. When you add all these together, that totals $915 of variable expenses for 2 weeks. Down here is the sinking funds table, and when I do my weekly check-in, I track my sinking fund transactions as well. Like if I made a purchase that comes from a sinking fund category, and this is where I log that, and then I use these tables to help me close out my sinking funds to see what I'd spent or taken away from each of those categories. I'll leave a link to my September sinking fund closeout video if you want to see more about how I use this. But I like just having it all in one place. I know some people have a separate page where they have sinking fund transaction logs, but for me, I need kind of one central location to find everything. All right, so I'm just saying this will be for week 3 and week 4 when I do each of those check-ins. Next, down here at the bottom is this debt table. I had taken away the debts that we've paid off. I used to leave it in there just as a reminder, kind of motivation, but then it was just more cluttering up my mind and I wanted something simplified. But I'll show you here on Paycheck 1, the debts that I had taken away was our timeshare, our security system, and then student loan number 1 were the 3 that I had pulled out from here. So now it's getting smaller, you guys. I'm so excited. But this is just where I keep track of our debts, what their beginning balance is at the start of that paycheck. I'm still, actually I can update cell phones because of yesterday when I did my week 1 check-in, the cell phone bill had cleared, which $100 of that bill covers the payment on our cell phones, our 3 cell phones. And that brought the balance down to $599.94. And I can actually update the ending balance on the cell phone as well. Some of these ending balances, if the bill is not assigned to that paycheck, then I don't, the money's not obviously going to be subtracted from that amount because of that. It's not going to decrease during that time frame that that paycheck is covering. But for instance, the car, it is going to be due on the 2nd is when I expect it to come out. And it'll be $744.17. So when that bill clears for this paycheck, I'll come and subtract it from this beginning amount, and that will be the new ending amount. And I'm trying to think, I can actually, and the HELOC is our current debt focus. So this is paycheck 2, and this zero-based amount, whatever we figure out that we have left over as cash flow will come down here and be applied towards the HELOC. But I don't know what it is yet because of it's due during paycheck number 1. And so I'm not sure what the new beginning balance will be for paycheck 2. I hope that makes sense, but I can actually come over here and update the ending balance on the cell phone because it's not a debt focus. It's not a bill assigned to this paycheck, so I don't expect it to change at all. Okay, everybody, that is what our paycheck is looking like so far. Now let's see what we're expecting our cash flow to be. So that's where we'll take this 65.96.13 minus our expenses. Make sure you guys can see that. Yeah. 42.19.82 and then minus the variable expenses. Whoops. Make sure I got everything plugged in. I'm so paranoid about that because I'm so bad about plugging the numbers in correctly to the calculator. Okay, so we are expecting to have $1,461.31 left over after all of our expenses are covered, and have that to throw at the HELOC at debt. Down here is where we would put that. Okay, that is what paycheck number 2 is looking like. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're enjoying the contents of this channel, please consider subscribing. This channel is all about our family's journey to financial freedom. I also do some time blocking every Sunday for productivity. But yeah, we'd love to have you subscribed. And I will see you guys tomorrow when I do my velocity banking series, because that is the strategy we're using to pay off our last student loan debt that's accruing interest. And yeah, that series will be tomorrow, where I show you guys our lines of credit and how we're using them to pay off debt and save money on interest. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.